HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing.
The following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
Rock and roll in your time. Your time. Want to make history. Again. Thanks for riding, HBO. We're going to ride to New York now. Yeah, I want to take this fight because I know this fight is a dangerous fight. It's a big threat there. It's a huge threat there. And I'm up to the challenge, and I like challenges. If it ain't a challenge, then I'm not really motivated the way I should be. I'm having more fun now at 48 years old, knowing that I'm in a jungle with a whole bunch of young cubs who's seeing this gray lion, thinking I'm limping one day, and they want to take that position. He's going in there thinking that he's actually going to fight an old man.
Oh, left hand rocked him.
The record reflects that he is aggressive, and he comes with that I'm gonna knock you out type mentality. You have to be on your game when you're fighting a guy like that, and when you come in to the fire, you have to understand that you can get burned.
Oh, super right hand by Hopkins.
At this stage, it's 99% mental. I have no doubt that I'll win this fight. It's how I win this fight that's going to be impressive. This where it goes down. The preparation and the timing couldn't be better right now. Couldn't be better. For me and my legacy, I protect that with my life.
Tonight, the sweet science invades the borough of Brooklyn as HBO's World Championship Boxing offers up doubleheader action from the brand new Barclays Center, where the excitement of big-time boxing is in the air. Our main event features the quest for history as the seemingly ageless Bernard Hopkins, now 48 years old, attempts to break his own record as the oldest boxer to claim a title belt when he takes on undefeated Tavoris Thunder Cloud of Tallahassee, Florida, for Cloud's 175-pound title. And we'll begin things with up-and-coming welterweight power puncher Keith Thurman, one of the most exciting young fighters in the sport, stepping up in competition to match skills with veteran tough guy and former 147-pound titleist Jan Zaveck of Slovenia. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. Welcome to our first trip here to the magnificent Barclays Center in Brooklyn for this HBO World Championship Boxing doubleheader, which climaxes with the main event between Bernard Hopkins and Tavoris Cloud. The first fight showcases everybody's prospect of the year last year, Keith Thurman. Can he get another spectacular knockout? Jan Zaveck would appear to be a tough opponent against whom to do that. As the evening goes on, we invite you all to text your response to the simple question: who will win the main event between Hopkins and Cloud? Text to the number displayed at the bottom of the screen. Give us your answer according to the code which is indicated there. Let us know whether you think Hopkins and Cloud are going to fight a good battle, who's going to win it, and we'll let you know as the evening goes on how your feedback is progressing. Roy Jones is absent tonight because of the death of a close friend in Pensacola, Florida, and we're privileged to be joined at ringside by the 168-pound champion of the world, one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in boxing, Andre Ward. Andre, simple question on the minds of most everybody who comes into the arena tonight: can the old man do it again?
That is the question, Jim. You have Tavares Cloud, who's conceivably bigger, faster, and stronger. Can he elevate his game tonight to a level where he can dominate the legendary Bernard Hopkins? And then you have the age-old question for Bernard Hopkins at 48 years of old. What does he have left? Can he pull off another one? But I will tell you this, Jim, whoever wins this fight tonight, it won't be easy.
We expect it's going to be a tough physical fight. That'll be interesting to watch. Turning now to HBO boxing analyst Max Kellerman. Max, Keith Thurman in what is seen as, by many as a showcase fight against Jan Zaveck. Is it a showcase or is it a step up?
Thurman's an interesting guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is.
Charismatic, reads Greek poetry, plays the blues guitar, and knocks guys out viciously. So he's being built as a fighter and as an attraction. And what that means is putting him in with fighters who he gains experience from and looks good against, but certainly doesn't get beaten. That's what Jan Zaveck is doing here tonight. He's older, looked a little faded in his last fight, but he is tough, he is experienced, and Jim, stranger things have happened.
Indeed. All right, fight takes place in the welterweight division. It is the glamour division of the sport. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape between Keith Thurman and Jan Zaveck. And you see the 12-year age advantage for Thurman. That'll be dwarfed by the 17-year age advantage that Cloud enjoys in the main event. They are equal in height at 5 feet 9 inches tall. Equal in arm length measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. And both weighed in under the 147-pound limit. In fact, Thurman was a full pound and a quarter under. Now here we're going to give you a look at Jan Zaveck. Best known by American audiences, if known at all, for his 2011 showdown with Andre Berto in his native Slovenia. Recognition isn't nearly as hard to come by for Zaveck.
My life started in Slovenia. Slovenia is in Europe. That is ex-part of ex-Yugoslavia. Neighbor, Italy, Austria, Croatia. And for me, is the most beautiful part in the world. It's really my honor to fight in home. People stay behind me and give me really, really good support to my career. I owe these people good fight and, of course, also wish win. Yeah, I'm police officer for Slovenian selection sport, who represent our state of Slovenia. I try to teach kids how to be safe in the street.
Max Kellerman, he was a title holder who thought he had a chance against Berto. Here, he is being cast as a stepping stone. Every veteran fighter knows when that's the case. Should be tremendous motivation for him.
Yes, and he doesn't mail it in. Zaveck shows up and gives you an honest effort and was coming on in the Berto fight in a slugfest where he was stopped on cuts after.
Florida trainer Dan Birmingham has quickly made a name for himself as one of the most exciting young sluggers in the sport. But the story begins with the man who introduced Thurman to boxing. His name was Ben Getty.
The name on the side of my trunks is very significant to me. The name is Benjamin Getty, Ben Getty. He's my original trainer. Ben Getty was the head janitor of my elementary school. He put a boxing exhibition on for the after-school YMCA program. And after seeing the exhibition, I took the paperwork, put it in my backpack, went home, and as soon as we got home, threw the backpack down on the floor, grabbed the paperwork, stared at my mom, and just said, "Mama, Mama, I want to box," and been boxing ever since. He was a very strict man. He was a Vietnam vet. You know, he taught me everything I know. He taught me my jab, he taught me my right hand, he taught me my left hooks, every little trick of the game. He taught me how to be a good man, you know, growing up. He was one of the best mentors that I could ever ask for. He was with me from when I was 7 years old until 20 when he passed away. It happened abruptly, overnight, really quick. It was really sad. And, you know, to be a champion is my dream, but it was also his dream as well. Every day it hurts, knowing that I'm one step closer to that world title, and he's not here with me. But that's why I have to constantly remind myself that he's within every blow that I throw, and he is constantly with me in spirit.
Andre Ward, the central billboard is punching power. That's the publicized asset for Thurman. But in an entrepreneurial sport like this, it's incumbent on the fighter to be able to sell himself as a personality, and he certainly appears to have the gift for that.
Absolutely. Thurman talks the talk. He seems to be able to walk the walk. You gotta like Thurman, and you gotta like him in this fight tonight.
Sparred as a teenager with the likes of Winky Wright and Jeff Lacey, not very fearful at all of a Jan Zaveck. Let's go to Michael Buffer in the ring for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Barclays Center, home of the NBA Brooklyn Nets, right here in Brooklyn, New York, USA, where tonight Golden Boy Promotions is proud to present an evening of world-class professional prize fighting for your entertainment. Sponsored by Corona Extra, La Cerveza Más Fina, AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T Rethink Possible. Toussé Cognac, a bold new expression of cognac, and Rockaware. Visit the flagship store right here at Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York. All bouts sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this bout will be Valeska Roldan, Don Trella, and Nelson Vasquez. And inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, referee Harvey Dock. And now, on the line, the WBO Intercontinental Championship, 12 rounds of boxing in the welterweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue with white, officially weighing 146.5 pounds. His professional record, an outstanding one, 32 victories, including 18 knockouts with only 2 defeats. From Pachud, Slovenia, the WBO #1 ranked contender and reigning WBO Intercontinental Champion, former welterweight champion of the world, Jan, Mr. Simpatico Zaveck. And fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with blue and red, official weight 145 3/4 pounds. As a professional, he has 20 fights, 19 victories, including 18 knockouts with 1 no decision. From Clearwater, Florida, USA, the undefeated WBO contender in the world, Keith, one-time Thurman.
Let's go. Okay, guys, both trunks are good. We went over the instructions earlier. Remember, obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Touch your gloves. Good luck to you.
Keith Thurman was the 2012 Boxing Prospect of the Year, according to just about every organization and person who decides such things. If he wins tonight in spectacular fashion, can he be perceived as a real contender and not just a prospect?
Well, the overall question is craft, but he's trained by an outstanding trainer in Dan Birmingham, who has helped both a pure boxer, Winky Wright, and a slugger, Jeff Lacey, master their crafts. So he gets a little bit of the benefit of both in Birmingham's experience. And here's round #1. What will Zaveck try to do to throw off Thurman's rhythm in the first round, Andre?
I think Zaveck feels like Thurman is untested. He's only been 8 rounds one time and never beyond that. He wants to press the action, but try not to take too much punishment in the meantime.
Speaking of one time, that's his nickname, because he thinks it only takes one time, one shot to get you out of there, and Zaveck's going to try to make sure that doesn't happen so he can take Thurman deep.
Well, Thurman has some circus-like knockouts on the highlight reel. He has demonstrated, at least against his level of opposition, real one-punch power. Question is, as he moves up in competition against a guy like Zaveck, is the one-punch power still as jolting to the opponent as has been the case so often so far?
See, Thurman is a little bit more anxious than I've ever seen him before early in the fight. He normally has that look of confidence. He's a little bit unsure right now.
Took a big right hand from Zaveck over the top, but banged him back with a hard shot to the body and to the left eye. There's a little red mark now already outside the left eye of Jan Zaveck. And his 5-round expedition against Andre Berto ended because of cuts and a swollen eye. So he's been marked, and I'm sure that Thurman is quite aware of that.
Yeah, and he's got scar tissue over his eyes. He tends to bust up and cut fairly easily, so that's something we may see in this fight even early on.
Zaveck landing his jab here in round 1.
I think I see some redness around Thurman's left eye, maybe from that Zaveck right hand.
That's
Body
what Thurman's going to have to do with Zaveck with that high guard. He's going to have to touch him in the body and let his presence be felt there first before he can go to the head.
Caught Zaveck walking in with a left hook, and that backed the Slovenian fighter off momentarily. Looks as though Zaveck is trying to do exactly what Andre Ward said at the beginning that he would do, be somewhat aggressive, but not overly so. He's taking some punishment, though, as round 1 goes forward.
That's the price he's going to have to take.
And if Zaveck can take Thurman's heavy hands, the question is, how does Thurman respond to that?
Komm her. Ja, du musst schneller sein, Jan. Merkst du?
You've got to be faster. Do you see it?
Auf dem Bein, schneller
You're too slow and too fat. You got to be faster on your feet.
Ja? Was? Okay. Halt dich ein bisschen rechts. Okay. Halt dich ein bisschen mehr rechts.
Stay to the right, stay to the right.
Dass er immer über die Schlaghandseite abhaut. Ja, mach ihn zu. Sei ein bisschen locker.
Beautiful. Just the same thing, and the stuff's going to start opening up more as the fight goes on. Breathe. You're the boss. Just don't get careless, though. Don't drop your hands early. He's going to be strong early. Okay. Right, come on, good round. Let's win this one, too. Let's win them all.
CompuBox numbers in round 1. CompuBox found Thurman throwing 49 jabs, landing only 6, but controlling the action to the degree with that jab that he was able to get off 72 punches in the round to only 30 for Zaveck.
And Thurman throws with such force that even when Zaveck's blocking the right hand, Andre, it's still kind of pushing Zaveck's glove into his own face.
No, Zaveck definitely feels the power of Thurman. Good hook from Thurman right there. But one thing Thurman's going to find out as he keeps stepping up the level of competition is he's going to have to change up the speeds, because a good fighter will take that punishment for 7, 8, 9 rounds just to land that one shot.
I mentioned earlier that in building a fighter and an attraction, you want to expose him to experienced fighters, but it's also different styles of fighters. Last time out, Thurman was in against a slick southpaw. This time against a rugged pressure fighter. And it's bringing out different parts of Thurman's game.
And I like what I'm seeing thus far from Thurman. He seems to be making the necessary adjustments.
Zaveck again with the right side, or the right hand, I should say, up the left side of Thurman's head. Kind of a muffled blow. Thurman is so sharp with his punches. He makes an impact. You hear it at ringside. And of course, he also has a Monica Seles grunt for emphasis.
Zaveck is trying to do right now, just put a lot of pressure on the young fighter, not necessarily throwing punches, but his body language, just being in his face. Good shot from Zaveck. And he's trying to land that shot in the midst of Thurman's punches.
Well, Thurman's landed 3 or 4 really good left hooks, so Zaveck determines he counters it with the right hand immediately. Lands another one of those right hands off a Thurman hook.
I thought Zaveck's right hand that you just mentioned, Jim, on the inside landed, but before, Andre, I thought that Thurman turned his shoulder and rode back most of that right hand.
He might have. But the point is Zaveck is looking for it.
Not intimidated to throw it.
Absolutely not. Good body work from Thurman. Good body
Excellent.
work.
Right hand and the left hand to the body, digging hard. This time Zaveck misses over the top with the right hand, and Thurman chases him to the ropes with a couple of lefts.
Keep fighting, keep fighting.
See why Zaveck wants to take Thurman deep, because he hasn't been deep into fights and he throws everything with real force.
Gotta test his tank. Gotta test it.
Zaveck seems to be learning that he doesn't want to be at distance with Thurman. He wants to get up close, crowd him, try to muffle some of that power. A look at Bernard Hopkins in the dressing room with his trainer, Naseem Richardson. Richardson's been with Hopkins a long time. He was the assistant to Bowie Fischer through the long years of Hopkins' marriage with Fischer. Ultimately, that broke up, and Naseem Richardson took over and has become one of the top trainers in the sport, not just off his association with Hopkins, but his work with other fighters as well. And of course, no one will ever forget that Naseem Richardson was the man who caught Javier Capetillo trying to load Antonio Margarito's gloves before the fight with Shane Mosley in Staples Center. And we mentioned the text poll. So far, 65% of you choosing Hopkins, 48 years old, to be the winner over Cloud, who was officially the betting favorite coming into the fight. This goes to show you that fans aren't always bettors or bookies. Harold Letterman had Thurman winning each of the first 2 rounds. I thought the last minute of round 2 was a very good minute for Thurman. He controlled the action, landed when he wanted to, and caught nothing really big in return from Zaveck.
I'd like to see Thurman use his jab a little bit more in these dead spots right here to set up the big shots. I think they'll come a little bit easier.
He has a good heavy jab, Thurman.
But sometimes with a young fighter, it's not really appetizing. You want to land the big knockout shot, especially with his background having a 90% knockout ratio. You want to add to that.
And as you were mentioning that earlier, Thurman swung wildly with a left hook and missed because he didn't set up the jab.
One thing I'm sure we'll see in Thurman over time, if he continues to win, is learning how not to throw every punch at maximum power, maximum speed, changing speeds, and setting the opponent up a little bit more.
That's the experience that he needs to get, and he's getting it in fights like this with a guy like Zaveck, who's not going to fall the first time he hits him.
Right, in the low minor leagues, you throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, they can't hit it. As you work your way up, and this might be seen as a AAA kind of fight, you have to start learning how to throw the off-speed stuff.
But I like this step up from Thurman with Zaveck. I think this is the right step up in order to go to the next level.
3 good body shots by Thurman. Froze Zaveck. Now he comes back with a right over the top. And having seen that looping right hand of Zaveck's and tasted it a few times in the first couple of rounds, Thurman is now ducking that punch and coming back with body shots. Hard left hand to the body.
That bothered Zaveck too. Brought in that right hand just a little bit tighter after that hook landed.
You already see a lot of improvement from Thurman, even from his last fight with Quintana. It's the most composed that I've seen him not a championship fight, but in a real fight. And I like what I see. And it's just a matter of time before something big gets through.
I love the focus on the body. For the last round and a half, Thurman has thrown most of his shots under Zaveck's arms to the ribcage. right hand underneath the gloves by Thurman. These body shots are beginning to take their toll. Next Saturday night, undefeated 147-pound titleist Tim Bradley returns to the ring against hard-charging Ruslan Provodnikov of Russia. Immediately following Bradley versus Provodnikov, stick around for Road to Rios Alvarado 2 for a look back at their war last October and a look ahead to their highly anticipated return engagement. And on March 30, it is the rematch between all-action brawlers Brandon Rios and Mike Alvarado. Last October, Rios stopped Alvarado in round 6 of one of the very best action fights of 2012.
Good job. Relax.
Ganz das Wichtigste, nicht zu lässig sein.
When you got a fighter like Zaveck who keeps his hands high, you need to go to the body in order to get the head shots. And that's what Thurman is doing. It's just a matter of time before he lands something upstairs.
A certain consistency in what Thurman has done so far. He threw 72 punches by CompuBox count in round 1, 75 in round 2, 72 in round 3, meaning that he understands pace and is fighting at the same pace throughout every round so far. Zaveck was only 9 of 31 in that round. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim, 3-0, 30-27, Keith Thurman. You know, Jim, we always talk about, the guy doing more damage, winning the round. Than, it's true. Keith Thurman doing an awful lot of damage. But I got to tell you something. This is really interesting. Watch the way he moves. I'm talking about Keith Thurman. After this flurry, he circles to the left, he gets in shots. He comes back to the right, he lands good shots. He goes back to the left, watch. See, now he's coming to the right. He's setting up Zaveck beautifully. It's really nice ring generalship. 3-0, 30-27, Thurman.
You know what else Thurman does is will sometimes punch off the right foot as the lead foot, Andre, quickly switching it up and gaining punching position.
Yeah, he's awkward. He's an awkward fighter. He doesn't really do too much by the book, but what he does works for him.
You mean awkward as a good thing in this instance, right?
Absolutely. He's not a basic fighter where you can time what he's going to do. He may throw off the wrong foot. Good shot by Thurman.
Unorthodox.
Unorthodox, but it's working for him, so he needs to keep doing it.
And the good shot you were talking about was the counter left hook inside. As Zaveck missed a right hand, Thurman hammered him with the left hook. Now he catches him across the top with another left hook.
Zaveck's got a pretty sturdy beard.
Keith Thurman is showing you the variety of his punches and that he has power on just about everything he throws. Andre Ward, Thurman's living off power so far to this point in his career. What do you think is the ultimate secret to punching power? Is it balance? Is it timing? Is it planting your feet? What is it?
I think it's probably all of the above. I think a fighter can learn to punch, but I think with Thurman, what you see right now is more something that's natural, not necessarily something that's taught.
Right. Keep it clean.
Speaking of baseball, they've studied this with pitchers. It's not so much any one thing. It's, as Andre said, it's like a chain and a fence. Every piece needs to be connected, and if you have all of those different elements connected at just the right time, you get your punching power, or your fastball, or your home run swing.
As George Foreman used to say to me, it's knowing when to use it and not using it every minute all the time. Hard left hook by Thurman.
Yeah.
Zaveck is really starting to bust up.
He's taking the kind of sustained beating which ultimately becomes discouraging unless you have tremendous fortitude and tremendous confidence in yourself. He's showing a will to fight, but he's getting hammered as well.
Schieb die geschlossen noch hin und arbeite aber an meinen Augen. Locker.
Stay relaxed.
Aus, wie aus
You're swinging from way too far.
Die sieht man, der kriegt Pause, der
He's
kann
seeing
sich
it coming at him,
der kann
and he
warten,
can
bis
wait.
du schlägst und kann selber schlagen.
And he's thinking.
Verstehst du, was ich meine?
You hearing me?
Ja?
Okay.
Du musst schneller sein,
You gotta be way quicker.
Alles okay bei dir?
So, don't get careless. You're winning this fight going away. Okay. Beautiful. Just relax, nice and calm. All yours.
Keith Thurman has consistently been working to the body. He throws a little right to the body and leaps in with the left hook. As we said earlier, it's just a matter of time before something big lands upstairs.
Keith Thurman was almost everybody's 2012 Prospect of the Year. That tells you, Thurman is 24 years old. That tells you that 23-year-old Adrian Broner is no longer seen as a prospect, but rather is already seen as a star. Broner may be ahead of Thurman in line for a real title shot in the welterweight division, even though he's still fighting down at 135. Promoter Richard Schaefer a couple of weeks ago talked about the possibility of Broner jumping over the 140 weight class and coming to 147. What I'm building to is there may be someday a meeting down the road between the two of them, and that would be magnificent to watch if they continue to build the way they have grown earlier in their careers.
Thurman's a naturally larger fighter. I think once Broner did what he did to Tony DeMarco, you're right, Jim, he was no longer a prospect. He'd arrived.
You heard Dan Birmingham assuring Thurman that he was winning the fight easily, winning it going away, and asking for calm.
He had those body shots, the left and the right to the body, boy. Really seemed to bother Zaveck.
You can kind of feel Zaveck gradually coming apart. He's staying in his envelope, waiting for chances to throw those looping shots, but at the end of the day, nothing has discouraged Broner, or excuse me, Thurman in any way, shape, or form. Another terrific body shot with the left hook.
Yeah, no, I really like what I'm seeing from Thurman. He just needs to make sure he doesn't get bored doing what he's doing. Keep doing what he's doing until either this fight gets stopped on cuts or he catches Zaveck with something big like he's done in his previous fights.
With Thurman, it's not always pretty, and he looks vulnerable at times. But as he told us, he takes risks and opens himself up and throws big punches, because even if someone from the outside is looking as though he's vulnerable, he's not fighting that person. He's fighting the guy in front of him who's already too cowed or too hurt or too out of position to retaliate. He's highly effective.
Right, he's highly effective, and I think for a young fighter, until you are forced to make that adjustment, there's no need to make that adjustment. If he gets caught with a shot being off balance and moving forward, I guarantee you he'll learn from that. It's pot shot Zaveck right now, 2s and 3s.
Harold Letterman talked to us earlier about the footwork. And you see how Thurman is able to go side to side, choosing at which point he wants to stop and fire, and beating Zaveck to the punch over and over.
Time!
Good work, good work.
Immediately following tonight's boxing coverage, stick around for continued sports programming. First up, it's my show, The Fight Game, where we'll be joined by Tim Bradley as we look ahead to his matchup next Saturday night with Ruslan Provodnikov. And we'll talk about other issues in his career. After The Fight Game, it's an encore presentation of Real Sports, featuring a profile of woman MMA superstar Ronda Rousey.
Take a swallow. You can swallow it, you know. Good work, good work, good work. Great work. Just be first with the jab. Every time you're first with the jab, he can't do shit.
Yeah.
Box him, use your legs. Don't do nothing different than you're doing. You're wearing him down.
Round 6 of a scheduled 12. Zaveck has been 12 rounds several times in his career. Thurman, as Andre Ward mentioned earlier, has not gone farther than 8 rounds in any one fight. Might there be a secret wish in the heart of Dan Birmingham for a tough enough performance from Zaveck that Thurman has to go 12 rounds tonight and get that educational experience?
I think that's the ideal mindset, but talking to him and Thurman in the fighter meetings, they both seem to really like the knockouts he's been having, so it's hard to say.
Zaveck has found something against Thurman. I was going to mention earlier, a sneaky little left hook. He's starting to shorten up on his hooks, Andre, with both hands, and they're starting to catch Thurman.
He's starting to land it.
Exactly. He caught Thurman with one of those right-hand loopers again, coming off of one of the left hooks that he landed. And I think you're right, Max. Shortening up the punches was the key.
He's catching Thurman pulling out on the end of these correctly distanced left hooks. He started it. Maybe he's started to time him.
That's what we talked about earlier, guys, about the mistakes. Those mistakes are starting to correct themselves because he's forced to make the adjustments.
Zaveck just barely got the left glove up on a Thurman right moments ago. It had home run written all over it.
And it looks like Thurman may be trying to take a breather, but Zaveck didn't get the memo.
Right.
So he's pressing.
Break clean, break clean.
Well, if it was Zaveck's plan to coast through the early rounds, endure the punishment, take Thurman into the later rounds and find out if he has the stamina and the concentration to keep going, this may be panning out. But now mouthpiece has fallen onto the canvas, and I believe it's Zaveck's mouthpiece.
Thurman's right hand knocked it out. And now he's landing some big shots with that mouthpiece out.
Zaveck is putting a lot of pressure on the young fighter right now.
Referee appears to have dropped the mouthpiece back onto the canvas.
No, that's another mouth. That's either a piece of the mouthpiece or someone else's mouthpiece. Maybe Thurman's.
Maybe they're both fighting without the mouthpiece right now.
Stop, stop, stop. Time.
Right here, right here, right.
Finally, Harvey Dock, the referee, chooses what he calls a lull in the action.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
They're putting the wrong mouthpiece in Thurman's mouth, I think.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
I hope it's not the wrong mouthpiece.
Well, I may have been confused about whose mouthpiece came out first.
That's quite possible because they seem happy with what they've got, in which case it was Thurman's mouthpiece which came out first, and then Zaveck's mouthpiece which came out second. Anytime both mouthpieces come out at the same time, that's a pretty good round. Look at 48-year-old Bernard Hopkins. Through much of his career, Hopkins was promoted. Hopkins was promoted by the legendary Don King. It was not always a copacetic relationship. Cloud is the last major fighter on Don King's promotional roster. And one of Hopkins' big motivations, as expressed to the media coming into tonight, was, I'm going to retire Don King once and for all. I'm going to put away his only existing prize fighter. Now, Bernard's always looking for an axe to grind. It's part of the way he motivates himself. But King is definitely a story as we come into the fight tonight. Tavoris Cloud has been loyal to King, even though King has not been able to muster a great deal of activity for him. In fact, Cloud hasn't had a fight in 13 months. CompuBox numbers in the 6th round. Thurman 19 out of 75. Zaveck landed 16 of 45, by far his high number of connected punches in the fight, underlining the point that Max Kellerman made earlier in the round, which was that Zaveck had found something that slightly changed the momentum. Hard right hand by Zaveck.
I mentioned that Thurman says that when he starts to wing those apparently wide shots, it's because he's in a position to do it. Maybe not so much against Jan Zaveck, who seems to be taking advantage from time to time.
And Zaveck, like the old veteran that he is, he's watching and he's looking, even in the midst of Thurman throwing, just looking for that one shot. And I think that one shot is that overhand right that he just landed.
Well, he caught Berto with that shot several times, and now Thurman rocks Zaveck with a left. Uppercut lands for Thurman. Another body shot. Uppercut hasn't been a big part of the arsenal here tonight, but it's a power puncher's tool, often used for the finish.
I like the pressure Zaveck is putting on Thurman. And I know it's easier said than done, but he's going to have to start opening up a little bit if he's going to get any kind of respect from the young fighter, Keith Thurman.
The late round knockout is a different kind of item than the kind of early dominance knockouts that Thurman has experienced to this point in his career. He's never had a knockout past the 6th round. So Zaveck may be getting what he wants in terms of taking Thurman into the deeper water of later rounds. Probably doing so at a large deficit on the scorecards.
Working there, working
Other than the tactical adjustments Zaveck may have made, the reason he's in this fight right now is his determination. Yes, he's hard-headed, but those hard body shots, I don't care how hard your head is, would discourage most fighters, and Zaveck just keeps on coming.
Yeah, they don't feel good at all, Max. See Thurman trying to land that check hook on the chin of Zaveck after he throws that right hand.
Keep fighting, keep fighting.
Mouthpiece has fallen to the canvas again. And this time it is Zaveck's mouthpiece.
This is 3 times it came out. You gotta hold on to it.
Tief atmen, Jan. Komm, Nase.
Pretty
Die
deep.
Runde war besser.
This round was better.
Du hast mich einmal mit rechts erwischt.
You got him with your right. You know
Eine
what's that?
rechte war dran bei ihm. Da hat er kurz Pause gebraucht.
And he needed a short break. Okay,
Wir können
you
uns
noticed
hier noch
it?
reinkämpfen. 6 Runden.
We got to go
Ja,
after
sind
him
weg.
now.
Hälfte ist erst rum.
The half of the fight's over.
Kampf Zeit, Kleiner. Der kommt jetzt in Situationen.
Keep ripping that body. Take a swallow. Up top, up the middle. Rip, 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 rip.
A lot of trainers will routinely talk all the way through the between rounds minute, trying to get in as many messages as possible. Dan Birmingham isn't like that. If he has something to say, he says it. If he doesn't, he looks at his fighter. Harold, how do you have it through 7?
Okay, Jim. You know, I've got it a shutout. I've got it 7 rounds to nothing, 70-63, Keith Thurman. You know, Jim, in rounds 6 and 7, Zaveck definitely landed a couple of really nice right hands. But to tell you the truth, Thurman just outworked him and outpunched him in those rounds. You know, Zaveck would land one good shot and look real good, but certainly not enough to win the round. And Keith Thurman was just really, really winning each of those rounds. I mean, I know there were judges in the world that would give either the 6th or the 7th to Zaveck because he did something. But I think that Keith Thurman really deserved those rounds. I've got it 7-0 Thurman, really based on clean, effective punching.
I'm not a judge, but I'd give Zaveck the 6th because I thought he hurt Thurman with a right hand.
Yeah. Well, he got it, as I said, Max, he did land 1 or 2 nice shots. He couldn't miss them. But over the total 3 minutes, he was just outworked.
I always ask myself, who would I rather have been in a given round? That tells me who I think won. I'd rather been Zaveck in the 6th, but point taken.
It'd be interesting to see with young Thurman if he carries his power into the later round.
I think his energy levels dropped. I think his activity is not as purposeful, and his control of the fight through his punching is not as consistent as it was in the earlier rounds. On the other hand, Zaveck has just dropped his mouthpiece for the 3rd time in 3 rounds. And that's normally a sign of on-rushing fatigue.
One more time. Time. Right here.
May get a point deduction at some point. I think that may have been the 3rd or 4th time that it dropped out.
3rd time in 3 rounds by my count. And it isn't necessarily because of Thurman's punching, because Thurman was landing harder, more solid shots in the early rounds, and Zaveck was keeping the mouthpiece in.
Yes, he was.
And curiously, it must have been Thurman's mouthpiece that came out first, right? Wasn't that the first mouthpiece?
In the exchange 2 rounds ago, yes.
And I thought it was Zaveck's.
Right. Hands are free.
Zaveck is doing what a underskilled veteran is supposed to do with a young prospect like Keith Thurman. He's not looking for one shot, he's just punching. He's being rough and rugged. He's putting a lot of pressure on the young fighter right now.
he's keeping his energy level up while the energy level of the younger potential star fighter is beginning to drop as he gets into territory where he has not been before.
This is what you look for in a fight like this if you're building a fighter. Not as an attraction, but as a fighter. Not that this is a foregone conclusion who wins here, as Zaveck has shaken Thurman up a couple rounds ago, but as long as you win, this can be invaluable experience.
Michael Kenneth Williams, Boardwalk Empire, and if you were a devotee of The Wire, in my own personal view, the great drama series ever on premium pay cable television, he played Omar, an unforgettable character. Oh, and there's Snoop, yes, Snoop, Felissa Pearson from Baltimore.
Aber sei schlau dabei.
Here with Michael Kenneth Williams.
Bist du wieder wach? Ich sehe, jetzt bist du wieder da. Du bist wieder da, ich sehe das. Ich sehe das, du bist da jetzt wieder, ja? Geh hin, sperr ihn ein,
go at him.
Spiel mit ihm.
Fight into this fight.
Links einfach mitnehmen.
Play with him a little.
Ja, der ist gut.
It's been good so far. It's been good. Let's go.
Letztes Mal ist verwandt. Ja, da musst du aufpassen.
You gotta watch out.
So now here comes the most interesting moment so far in the prize fight in this sense. Keith Thurman, entering with a record of 19 wins, 18 by knockout, enters round 9 for the first time in his career, with the prospect of possibly having to go to round 12.
Uncharted territory.
Let him go, let him
go. To the point of experience, saw past 8 rounds, 0-0 with no knockouts. There's going to be a mark somewhere on that ledger by the end of tonight.
Can you remember, Andre, the first time it happened to you that you had to go deeper into a fight than you had been before by a significant margin? And did it interfere with your confidence in any way?
I don't care who you are, you're going to think about it. If you've only gone 6 rounds and you're fighting an 8-rounder, you want to know how you feel in that 7th and 8th round. But this fight right here reminds me of my fight with Edison Miranda, where he was underskilled. I had more skill than him, but he was there all night long, big puncher, and I had to bite down to pull the fight out, and it looks like Keith Thurman is having to do the same thing tonight.
Indeed. Your strategy, as I recall, was to push him back, right?
Yeah, I like to go at the big, strong guys that they think are invincible, but that's just me.
Here, Thurman continues to give ground, although he seems to be outboxing.
Yeah, but I think Thurman knows what he's doing. He's boxing, but he's landing some heavy shots in the meantime.
Zaveck is trying to pressure him both mentally and physically by staying close to him and trying to show him that his energy level is rising.
Zaveck's also not the puncher Miranda was. He didn't want to get caught on the end of any of those shots, I'm sure.
No, absolutely not.
Fortunately, a lot of Miranda's big power shots came with a wind-up so that a skilled guy could see them coming.
Yeah, but he did catch me a couple times, but I had to make up my mind beforehand that I was going to take that shot and simply hit him back. And Thurman mentally is showing that he can deal with this. Even though it's a little rough right now, this is necessary for him to grow.
Uppercuts now for Thurman. He hurt Zaveck momentarily. He landed a right hand across the top. Zaveck stopped punching momentarily as Thurman changed gears, landed the uppercuts with both hands.
The first time in a while, though, a shot landed on Zaveck that had him thinking, do I want to rush right back in? He's tough enough that he reset himself and came back in, but it took him a half second to decide.
Yeah, Zaveck, you got to take your hat off to him. He's taking some hellacious shots to the body, to the head, and he's not detoured at the moment.
Jan Zaveck of Slovenia, 36 years old, against 24-year-old Keith Thurman of Clearwater, Florida.
Just missing that overhand right. Keith Thurman needs to keep his eyes wide open and get that left hand up.
Zaveck coming off a left elbow injury, which makes this his first fight in 350 days.
Really good left uppercut from Thurman.
The uppercuts, a new wrinkle in this round. We mentioned it's a power puncher's tool. He has unveiled them and once again changed the fight back in his favor.
What I'm talking about. The first 3 is going to set up the 4 and 5 punch. Good work. Good work. Good work. Good work. Good work. Here, Chris, take the mouthpiece. All right, nice job. Good job.
Weißt du, was ich meine? Du musst ihn fühlen, Kleiner. Ja, guck dahin, auch nach deinen Schlägen, guck hin. Sei da, blocken ist okay. Aber du musst da sein.
You got to be there. You got to feel him, okay?
Du musst der schlägt in die Luft.
He's just punching into the air. You got to be there. Gather yourself.
Yeah? Okay.
See, Zaveck got a little careless. Keith Thurman threw a beautiful half hook, half uppercut that hit Zaveck right on the chin, and he felt that punch, and he'll probably feel it as this round starts right now.
What Razor Ruddock used to call the smash. Heavyweight contender.
And the replay didn't take you all the way through the sequence, which saw Thurman follow that left uppercut with a right uppercut. So, Harold, I'm sure he won that round. How do you have it overall?
Okay, Jim, I've got it 8-1, 89-82, Keith Thurman. I thought Jan Zaveck pulled that round 8, to tell you the truth. With he very, very aggressive. He takes a heck of a shot, and he landed a few nice shots of his own to pull out the round. That was the round I thought Thurman sort of took off, so to speak. But Keith Thurman, all in all, landing very, very hard shots. Jim, I tell you, I'm seeing more and more and more of this new Rival boxing glove. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm a big equipment guy. Keith Thurman wearing Rival trunks, Rival gloves, and Jan Zaveck wearing Rival gloves also. Never used to see that before. Something new. 8-1 Thurman.
You know anything about the characteristics of the Rival glove? Is it a puncher's glove? Is it a defender's glove? Do you know?
To tell you the truth, no. I have to ask Russ Amber, the trainer from Canada, I know has something to do with it. Next time we see him, I'll definitely ask him.
You have a favorite glove, Andre?
Yeah, I'm kind of an old school guy, even though I'm young. I'm an Everlast guy through and through.
Right. Watch your heads, both. Watch your heads.
You mentioned earlier to us, Andre, in the evening, that Keith Thurman takes step-up fights and he makes them look like showcase fights. But this looks like a step-up fight, not a showcase fight so far.
And this is the right type of step-up fight. It's not too much where you get your young fighter hurt and discouraged, but he's forced to think, he's forced to bite down, and he's forced to make some adjustments. And this is going to take him to another level.
That's building a fighter. You take the safest step-up fight you can to get your guy experience and having him see him new things. And you hope he turns it into a showcase.
And it's on HBO Championship Boxing, too.
Indeed. I'm going to be fascinated to see what his energy level and his command is like in the 12th round. As I agree with Harold, the 8th round was the weakest round for Thurman, but he came back and really put some icing on the cake in the 9th. Hard body shot by Thurman. Zaveck ducking the right. And now Zaveck's left eye is starting to bleed, and Thurman is starting to build up the tempo again.
Once Thurman saw Zaveck stagger by the ropes, he smelled blood and came on.
Thurman is keeping his power in this 10th round.
He is hurting Zaveck in this round. Zaveck's been off balance twice. The left eye is beginning to open up. Thurman is making his point as the closing rounds begin to progress. Brilliant right-hand pot shot over the top. And now Zaveck goes back to his corner, physically diminished for the first time in the fight.
Good work. Breathe. Got 2 more rounds. It's all yours.
You're much too tired.
Janni, jetzt machst du mal ein bisschen Pause die Runde, okay?
Take a little break now.
Aber bist immer da, verstehst du, was ich meine? Mach mal die Runde, ein bisschen Pause, renne mal nicht so dumm rein, dass er nicht nochmal kontern kann. Hol dich mal jetzt ein bisschen aus.
You gotta get some counters in, okay?
Eyes are fine. That's it. Keep boxing. Stage is yours. You're in control. Now he's getting real careless now. Keep popping him with them right hands. Keep nailing him with them right hands. You hurt him 3-4 times that round.
Power shots in the 10th round. Thurman 13 of 26. Zaveck 5 of 19. 8 of Thurman's power shots landed in the last minute of the round when he showed some killer instinct, realized that he was beginning to hurt Zaveck, and poured it on.
Zaveck may take a few more risks, knowing that he's only got 2 rounds to go in this fight.
Just the a little more tentative coming in after the beating at the end of that round, Zaveck is.
Yeah, he still may be a little foggy from that shot that he took. But I think he may try to have one more onslaught before this fight is over. We'll see.
Zaveck kicking his left leg as though he may be flirting with a cramp. Hasn't fought in nearly a year. In the main event, we'll be watching Tavoris Cloud, who hasn't had a fight in 13 months. Hopkins had one during that period of time, but it was a loss to Chad Dawson.
Work in there, work in there, work in there.
Not much on those shots
Work
from
in there.
Zaveck.
Let him go, let him go. Right.
Zaveck managed to smother the uppercut that time.
I like the consistency to the body from Thurman.
I like the stamina. Thurman's punches still mean something.
Right.
And this is his first trip ever past the 8th round.
Work in there, work in there. Let him go, let him go. Right. Keep it clean, both of you.
And Thurman has an unorthodox style, but he makes the attempt to stay disciplined within that orthodox style. When Zaveck threw those almost shoe shines at him earlier in the round, Thurman brings his guard up. He doesn't ignore them. He plays defense when he's supposed to, although it's all within the, as Jim, you would say, envelope of an unorthodox style.
Right.
They'll go to the 12th.
Great performance. Fucker got a hard head. Breathe. Looking great.
Let's go, Jan. Let's go. Last round.
So you can box this last round. Don't worry about taking them out, all right? You got this fight. Okay. You don't have to take chances.
Chance siehst, dann geh rein. Vor allen Dingen dann linken Werferzahn als letzter hat. Ich denke, der könnte passen.
Think about the one shot that could get him. Let's stay relaxed. We got to get him with one shot.
Weißt du, als Endhand, als letzter, weißt du, so reinschieben mit rechts, Wurm,
push at him with the right, and then you get him with the left hook.
Und dann deine Endhand mit dem linken Seil.
Round 12.
Touch him up. There we go. Let's go.
So the 12th and final round for last year's Prospect of the Year, Keith Thurman, comes in with a record of 19-0, 18 of the wins by knockout. Never been past the 8th round. Has been given a physical test by veteran Jan Zaveck of Slovenia, as well as a bit of a mental test, but has passed everything so far, en route to what looks like it will be a very lopsided Thurman decision. If in fact Zaveck can make it to the final bell. And if Thurman doesn't make the one big mistake, that could change everything.
Andre Birmingham told Thurman in the corner not to take any chances in this final round. How would you like to see Thurman close the show?
Yeah, we always want to see a show, and I think he has the option to do that, but at the same time, I understand what the season Dan Birmingham is saying. Don't give this guy who's looking for one shot any opportunity. Let's pack it in, get the win, and move on to the next.
Well, I asked you earlier, Andre, whether there might be a secret wish in Birmingham's heart for this fight to go the distance so that his fighter could get the experience of going 12 rounds. Even if it isn't what they wanted, it's a benefit to him if it happens.
Oh, make no mistake about it. These 12 rounds are more valuable to Thurman's career in the short and long term than you know, a first-round knockout would be.
Than any of the 2- and 3-round knockouts he's piled up to this point.
But what about a 12th round knockout? If it were you, what would you be doing here, Andre?
Well, I would probably come and try to close the show, depending on the situation in the fight. Good right hand from Thurman. But he's doing what he has to do. You don't have to create something. It'll just happen. That's where you get in trouble, trying to create some spectacular knockout.
I'm sure that Thurman wants a knockout and is thinking of a knockout, and I rather imagine that Birmingham told him don't take any chances because he knows that Thurman will take a risk or two.
Right.
There's no need to in this situation.
Wait. Stay off his head.
Looping right hand landed for Zaveck, but Thurman came back with a right hand of his own, stopping Zaveck in his tracks. There's that jab again.
Wait.
And there you see Thurman gunning for a knockout and almost getting countered in exchange.
Indeed.
And that's what Birmingham's thinking.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hard right hand by Zaveck. Tries to get in an uppercut inside. This time it's Thurman who smothers the uppercut. Hard right hand by Zaveck.
Stop! There we go. That's it.
They go the distance. Keith Thurman has a couple of shaky moments in the 12th round, but nevertheless puts the finishing touches on what should be a very easy victory to get him to 20-0. His first route-going performance in his first 12-round assignment. And a valuable learning experience for a fighter who potentially has a big future. Right, Andre?
I like what I saw from Thurman. I think he might have went from prospect to proven tonight. He's shown that he has the goods to go to the next level.
Harold Letterman, how did you score it?
Jim, I had a 118-110, 10 rounds to 2. Keith, one-time Thurman. I thought he fought a beautiful fight. I mean, he just hammered Jan Zaveck. Jan Zaveck has a tremendous heart, real good jaw. Never stopped coming, never stopped trying. Gave Keith Thurman a real good fight, but really, when you score a fight, it's definitely clean punching, and Keith Thurman certainly landed the cleaner, harder shots. And props to Harvey Dock. He did a very, very nice job refereeing this fight. We didn't even know he was in the ring.
Other than when he picked up a mouthpiece.
For sure. Tonight's judges, Waleska Roldan, one of my favorite new young judges, Latino lady from the Bronx, New York. She's been judging since 2007. I didn't agree with Zeb Judah and Lucas Matisse. I thought Lucas Matisse won the fight, but she was the one that had Juan Carlos Burgos beating Rocky Martinez. Don Trella, Director of Human Relations for the Mohegan Sun. As you see, he worked Bernard Hopkins, over Roy Jones, the second fight. But he also worked at the fight last week with Billy Dibb and Granovich, and he had the right score. Nelson Vasquez has been judging forever, since 1987. As we see on the screen, he had Paulie Malignaggi over Pablo Cesar Cano, and I don't know if that was right, but he also was the judge at Tavoris Clown over Fulgencio Zuniga.
By the way, Harold, effective and impressive performance for young Granovich, the Mexican-Russian, against Billy Dibb, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was, to tell you the truth. I mean, he came on and he just won the fight.
But that's a parenthesis. Here's the main subject, Keith Thurman. And now let's go to Michael Buffer for the official decision on this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. All three judges scored about the same, 120 to 108, all for the winner by unanimous decision, and new WBO Intercontinental Champion, Keith one-time Thurman.
Well, so tonight it wasn't one time, but rather 12 times. And the official judges giving Thurman an even better review than did Harold Letterman. Harold had him winning 10 of 12. All three official judges giving him all 12 rounds. He nearly doubled Zaveck in terms of landed punches. He threw more than 400 more punches than Zaveck in the fight. They both landed at about the same connect percentage, and by and large, Thurman landed the harder shots. And here's a look at the power punching category, where just about the same thing took place. But it shows you that a lot of the punches that Thurman threw, in fact, half the punches he threw in the fight were jabs, and he winds up connecting with 45% of his power punches. That's a very good percentage. And a look at Punch Zone, we'll see that Thurman evenly distributed these shots pretty well, all over Zaveck's body and head, landing with both the right and the left hand. He's not discriminate. He doesn't choose one hand much over the other. He'll throw every shot in the book. And of course, the punches that were landed on Thurman featured mostly that looping right hand. 47 times Zaveck was able to make contact with the left side of Thurman's head. Max Kellerman stands by with the 2012 Prospect of the Year, still unbeaten right now.
Congratulations, Keith, on the win. You'd never been beyond 8 rounds. You just went 12. Tell me about what that was like heading into the 9th.
Well, you know, Zaveck's never met the canvas. I was really looking to land that one punch, but he just has a tight defense. He keeps his chin tucked. He's truly a veteran in the sport. It was a great boxing lesson for me. I'm glad that I got to experience the 12 rounds in my career, and I'm happy with my performance.
You said it was a lesson. What did you learn?
I learned that, you know, some people are tough. You know, some people, you got to outbox, you got to outsmart. You're not always going to get the knockout.
Keith, one time, Thurman, you hit him 100 times with some big shots, head and body. He keeps coming. What are you thinking in those moments?
That he's a wise fighter and that he keeps his tuck really tight. He kept his chin tucked down, and it was really hard to land a critical blow.
He seemed to find something. I think it was in the 6th round. He hit you with a couple of hooks as you were pulling out, and then caught you with the right hand. I thought he shook you up. Were you shaken up?
Yes, it was a good shot, but it's not a shot that I haven't been caught with before. It's not a feeling that I haven't experienced before. My legs were intact, and I kept moving. I kept boxing smart.
Quickly, Keith, Andre said at the beginning of the night that you turned step-up fights into showcase fights. Not this time as much as last time. Your thoughts?
I was really, you know, I was trying to box smart. I was prepared for the 12 rounds. I was looking for the shot, but it really wasn't there. He was really smart on his tactics, his in and out movement, his stutter step, and it kept me guessing. It kept me one step behind, and you know, he's truly a veteran in the sport. You know, it was a good fight, great fight.
Congratulations, Keith. We'll see you soon.
One more comment. I'd like to thank the city of Brooklyn for coming out. Thank you to all my fans. Thank you, God. Thank you, Golden Boy, my manager, Al Heyman. God bless everyone. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Jim.
Growing public relations acumen for Keith Thurman. Yesterday, it was snowy and cold in New York City. Today was beautiful for Tavoris Cloud and Bernard Hopkins and our first trip to Brooklyn. Let's look at some upcoming fights on HBO.